Welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about Sonic Mania and how much playtime I've gotten out of it before getting bored. For context, these are my opinions, and I am personally someone who is always excited for the next game and rarely finishes a game because I typically drop it just to pick up the next game. Today I'm going to go over a few talking points and discuss how much playtime I've personally gotten out of Sonic Mania. First, I'm going to be going over the hype around the game. Sonic Mania was developed by Headcanon Studios and released on August 15, 2017, with Sonic Forces releasing about 3 months later on November 7th. Sonic Mania was reviewed pretty well, even better than Sonic Forces, which was the main Sonic game for that holiday season. The game was well received, and it seemed most Sonic fans were happy with it, albeit some saying Sonic 3 and Knuckles was still better, and some who preferred 3D Sonic games who were more looking forward to Sonic Forces. But it didn't seem like many flat out hated the game. It was a nice feeling being there at launch and feeling the happiness in the community. The game originally launched for $20 on digital storefronts with a $70 collector's edition, which did not come with a physical copy of the game, but that's only because there was no physical copies yet. All in all, it wasn't an overpriced experience, and for a game that's about 6 hours long, you really couldn't go wrong. The pick up and play factor. Now, I appreciate a game with deep systems and leveling mechanics like Persona 5, but after a long day at work, it can be more than appealing just to play something simple and easy, especially if you don't have hours to sit down and immerse yourself in a vast open world. Sonic Mania is the perfect game for this situation, because there's no intrusive tutorials on how to play the game. You just hit the start button and just go. And now, while that is in part to it being a 2D game, it doesn't change the fact that anyone can just start playing this game with no prior knowledge on what a Sonic the Hedgehog is. The game has primarily old stages from previous games, but with 4 new stages on top of it. If this is your first Sonic game, then you are in for a treasure trove of good level design, and if you've played every classic Sonic game, there are still a handful of new stages, and the previous ones are remixed, giving the game a nice sense of freshness and being a nostalgic treat. Engagement. So the big point of this review is how long I actually played the game before getting bored or moving on. Besides a few tiny cutscenes to transition from act to act, there is no long-winded cinematic shots or any loading screens. You're almost non-stop playing for the whole experience, and you're never left to wonder what to do next or where to go. You're just instinctively always going forward, which helps you stay engaged during gameplay, and with how fast Sonic can get at times, you're always having to make decisions. Not staying engaged with the game can lead to a loss of life, and if you lose all your lives, you'd have to start that stage from the beginning. So if you're on Act 3, you'd have to go back to Act 1 of the stage. Surely a solid punishment, but not so much so to discourage another try. Now, I actually did not beat the game on my first playthrough, and it took me coming back to the game multiple times before actually beating it, but that's because I was too stubborn to beat the game without all the Chaos Emeralds, because if you get all the Chaos Emeralds, then you get to see the final boss, the true final boss, and once you do the true final boss, you get to see the true ending. Now, this is a very small game, so dropping it and picking it back up after playing something else is not a hassle at all, which brings me to my next point. The replayability. Sonic Mania is so short that it's very easy and tempting to just start a new game, and with how many save files the game gives you, you're gonna have more than one. Sonic Mania to me is a very reliable option when I don't know what to play. It's easy to jump into, and there's always something new. A new path, a new secret, or just a faster way through the level. And like previous 2D Sonic games, the more times you've played it, the better you are. You can beat the level faster, you can find the Chaos Emeralds faster, and you can be fast, which is the point of Sonic. The game gives you 3 playable characters from the start, with enough difference to warrant at least playing a few levels with each of them. And with the Plus expansion, the game adds another 2 characters, Mighty and Ray. So there's 5 playable characters, all with tiny gameplay changes. Sonic Mania is so easy to come back to, you always want to do better on each playthrough. It's almost addicting to some extent. So I strongly recommend this game, because if you get distracted and don't finish it your first time through, it's so easy to start a fresh save, it doesn't really matter. Starting a new game doesn't mean throwing away hundreds of hours of grinding or scaling your character, and you'll probably get to where you once were in your first play session back. Sonic Mania is the only game I've bought willingly on multiple platforms, just for the convenience of being able to play it in different settings. In conclusion, if you get distracted easily or don't know what to play, I recommend Sonic Mania. It's simple fun with charming visuals, and the worst thing about the game in my opinion is that the